So good morning guys, and today I was just going to give you a quick sort of update on how I'm getting on with the Sony rx10 Mark IV, and a real sort of 2 to 3 week ownership kind of feeling about it. To be honest, I actually love the camera. It's so usable. The fact that you've got the 24 to 600mm f4 lens, it starts off at f2.4. As the barrel extends, it naturally obviously becomes an f4 due to the length of it and less light getting down inside. So I'm guessing it's an f2.4 lens all the way, all the way down the range basically, and that's is allowing a very good quality image there. So obviously, just because the lens gets a little bit longer, it relates to being an f4 lens at sort of the 600mm mark. It's extremely sharp, and if you watch the other videos I've done so far about the RX10, we did a comparison between my friend Gav's 1DX Mark II from Canon and his Canon 600mm f4 prime lens, which is an absolute beast. It's massive, and the only real difference we could really see was the depth of field. A little bit of noise difference. Obviously, the sensor on the RX10 is quite small. It's a 1-inch sensor compared to a full frame sensor in the Canon. And also we compared my Sony A7R II, which is obviously full frame as well, on the 600mm f4. So if you want to watch that video, I'll put a link there. If not, just have a quick look. There's 3 parts to it. One where we compare the images, one where we actually do the shooting bit, and then how and why and what and other things we talk about as well. So we flew the Phantom, the DJI Phantom drone towards the cameras and tried the focusing system out as well. So that was quite an interesting little experiment there, just for fun, just to see really. But yeah, so the RX10 Mark IV, just talking about it in general really, like I say, the massive expansive usage on its wide range of zoom qualities, so 24 600mm. Its ISO generally is good to up to about ISO 2000, I'd say, without any real troubles. Go a bit more than that and it starts to show its sort of downside, but in real terms, up to 1000 I shoot generally is all that's needed. So it's not, it doesn't really affect me too much. The focusing system is absolutely bonkers. It's ridiculously fast. It locks onto things so quickly. You don't miss a thing really. Yeah, I have had a few misfocuses during a burst, but that could, it's nothing's perfect. But most of the shots you're very sharp. Handheld, you can do it's crazy. You can do a 600mm f4 handheld shot at 1/50th of a second, or even lower slightly if you brace yourself. So that's, it's incredible that you can actually get that slow on the shutter speeds. Did a shot of the moon the other night at f4 600mm ISO 64 handheld. I think it's about 1/200th of a second. Absolutely sharp as anything. So that was really good. It's weather sealed, so you can get away with using it outside in the rain and stuff, and not have to worry too much. The only bit I am a bit concerned about is where the lens moves in and out. Is there a seal between that, and is there something to stop any water ingress back up the tube as such? Probably, hopefully, it depends on how they've done it. But yeah, anyway, so hopefully it won't die if it gets too wet. The hot shoe cap that sits on top, having other Sonys in the past, and I do use them in relatively extreme conditions, in the rain and snow and sand and places like that, and I don't really, in days, if I'm going to get the shot, it's fine. I don't care about getting the camera dirty or wet. But I have realised over time that if you haven't got your hot shoe cap on and you're out in the rain and you're not going to use a flash or anything like that, that if any moisture, even a couple of droplets of rain, get onto the multi hot shoe, because on Canon and Nikon you've just got a normal hot shoe. On the Sonys they've brought in a section just up the front of the hot shoe that's got, I think, about 10 or 12 little contacts. And if you bridge those contacts with a little bit of water, as in it connects them, it then gets confused. And I went down on the beach with the A7R2 and had had to have a new hot shoe because the salt water got in there and it just corroded the connection slightly, so the flash gun wouldn't work properly. So new hot shoe, it's not the end of the world, but now I leave the cap in so it's protected from any moisture. So that works. It's the same with all the Sonys. I'd recommend that. I've actually turned off the touchscreen. I don't need it. I'm so used to using just the buttons that actually it doesn't bother me at all. So I know instinctively what I need to change. And the thing with this is people will slag off the Sony menu systems, but I don't understand why, because if you're Nikon or Canon, you have to quite often go deep inside just to find something. Once you've set up the RX10 or the A7R2 or the A9 or whatever, and you've got it set how you want it, and you set the custom buttons up. So my left hand button, push button of the wheel, the little dial at the back, if I click left, I've set it as drive mode, so I can quickly change the drive mode from single shot to burst to timer to bracketing, whatever. And then on the right hand side of that wheel I click and it's the ISO. The top is display as a default, and then the down one I've turned for display off, so you can turn the screen off, on and off. So all the other buttons are, you can customize as well, which is really good. So once you know what you've done there, but then if you need more, which you quite often do, you've got the function button, which you've got FN. So the FN button, you just push that, and you've got 10 little boxes that you can fill up with different modes. So like the audio settings for when you're filming, so in there you can have the audio levels. So it's a case of function, click in, and you're done. Same with, I have got the drive mode and everything there as well, just in case you want to get in, and while you're in there you could change it. But I have got the steady shot on and off, the focus points, so you can change your focus system, so from spot to wide to whatever. White balance change, and there's all those sort of things you can do very quickly. So as a pick up and use camera, it is incredible. And for me personally, with tons of years of experience, it's the perfect camera that I can pick up every day and just go out with it. I need to carry one small bag, or don't even have to take the bag with you if you don't want to, but a small bag to keep it safe while you're not using it. I don't even bother with a lens cap, I just straight in the bag, there's nothing else in the bag, and off I go. If I'm doing work, then it's the A7R2 and other cameras to do the job. Not saying that you could use the RX10 for other things anyway. Its slow motion capability is crazy, the up to 1,000 frames a second slow motion video, which works really well. The downside of that is higher frame rate you go, the quality drops. Little workaround on that, it upscales it to 1080p, but obviously it's not 1080p. It's around about old DVD quality, I think. Little workaround that, I've worked out that actually I use Sony Vegas as the video editor, and you just add a sharpening filter onto it, and you just tweak it very slightly, not very much because it shows up, just enough to bring the sharpness back into the image. So it basically it's still not 1080p, but I've looked at it on a 100-inch projection screen, and I was actually relatively impressed. And I will put the slow motion clip in this so you can see it, and it's a friend's horse jumping in slow motion. So she did 3. We did the 240 frames a second, 500 frames a second, and 1,000 frames a second. So it's three lots of her jumping. The last one I'd actually come back to we've done some other pictures, and then we came back and did it then. So that's why it's not the same a view quite the same. It's backed out slightly more. But they were all shot at just gone dusk, so there was no sunlight anymore, so it was down up to, I think, ISO 2000, something like that, videoing. So it was impressive anyway. The 24 frames a second burst is nuts. I will put a picture in there of we did a shot of Phoebe jumping over one of the jumps, and I did something like 40 shots I think, and it's just like straight over. And you can literally just pick any shot you want from there. You've got every single moment it's happened. So I've merged the photo together so you can kind of see how much it's doing, which works rather well. The pop-up flash works actually quite well. If you need a little bit of fill-in, you've got it. For macro capabilities, if you're wide at 24mm, you can actually get surprisingly close, really close, and it focuses down to off the end of the lens, and not from the sensor, from the end of the lens, probably an inch or two. That's about it. That's about as close as you can get, which is crazy. And at f2.4, the bokeh and the depth of field is so shallow. It's really good. At 600mm, you can actually focus closer than you can at 200, which is a bit bizarre, but somehow they've done that. Anyway, so if you're doing photographs of butterflies, and you can stay a metre away, and you can still get these, you can get some really nice shots of butterflies and bees and things like that. It's extremely sharp. But if you needed to fill in with just a little burst of flash, you can pop the flash up and it will, it's missing the lens completely, and you can actually get a shot where you've just a little bit of fill in from the flash gun if you need it. Portraiture, I haven't really done anything with the portraiture yet, but the eye focus is ridiculous. We tried it out with a family and everything just to see how quick it was, and all you need to do is push the button in the middle of the wheel at the back, and it's automatically locked on before you don't even have to push any other thing. You just push that and it's locked onto the eyes, and then you can take a picture. So it just stays with the eyes. It's so fast. It's brilliant. What else we got? The burst mode, when you do 24 FPS or slower, will do 24 frames a second. It will do 248 shots. I think I've managed to get out of it, which is crazy. It's who actually does that many? I mean, we've done it just to see, but actually generally, like with the horse jumping over the fence, we did about 40 or 60 shots, something like that, a couple of times. So actually, the fact you can do that many shots and then pick the best one kind of works. So you have got up to 240 shots or so, which works really well. So about 10 seconds or so burst before it needs to buffer to the card. Sorry, before it hits its buffer and then goes to the card. But as it's saving them, you can still take pictures, so it's not a problem. The only downside is you can't go into any menus. You can't go into the menu and change anything while you're waiting. But in real terms, if you're doing those sort of shots, you're set up to do that anyway, so you're not likely to have to change anything. You can still change the shutter speed, the aperture, and all that sort of stuff, and carry on shooting. So that's not really I don't think that's really an issue in the end of the world. The biggest issue I've got with it is, I know while they've got an electronic zoom and electronic focusing, that in fact you can use the wheel, the lens ring to zoom in and out and focus and everything, and you've also got the little toggle switch that helps you zoom in and out. So you've got two ways of zooming in and out. I've set mine to fast, which I've actually realised is actually the smoothest, because you can slowly move the ring and it will slowly focus in, but if you move it quickly, it zooms straight in as quickly as possible. If it was a manual lens, as in a manual zoom backwards and forwards, a bit like this Sony f828 from 2002, I had one, that was fabulous, but that had I think it was an 18 to 200, probably an f3.5 or something like that, can't remember, but that was a really good camera, and that was nice because you had the full manual. Downside of this is you can't back out from, say, if you're at 600mm and you're snapping away, you can't take a picture as you're zooming back. So that's its drawback, is you have to think a little bit ahead. Do I need to zoom out quickly before I take a shot? That's the case. So that's its sort of biggest downside, is that you can't zoom in and out while you've got your finger on the button, which is a bit annoying. It does it fine in video, which is strange, but I guess there's some kind of logistics or something that doesn't allow it, which is a real shame. I mean, maybe they can do a firmware update. So if anybody from Sony watches this, maybe there's a firmware update that allows you to still zoom in and out while you've got your finger on the button. So yeah, what else can we talk about? Obviously, I'm only talking over, just voicing over today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a load of photos, as you're seeing now, through, just to give you a real insight of what sort of photos you can get from it very easily. All of the shots are unedited, so they're straight out of the camera. There will be a couple that I've stitched together, but other than that, I've literally just straight out the camera, no sharpening, no, maybe a couple of brightness adjustments, but other than that, literally no editing at all. It's, I think personally, it is the best all-round camera in the world that you can. It's designed for someone who's got good knowledge of how photography is, and how to use a camera without thinking. So those moments of, if you're thinking, what f-stop do I need, or what shutter speed do I need, ISO, it's probably too advanced for you. You know, if you pick up the camera and use it instinctively without thinking, I'm adjusting the camera all the time without even, you're not stopping to think, you just do it automatically and you just do it as you think. So I think that this camera is designed for experienced enthusiasts, pros that are wanting a camera that they can pick up easily and just go out for the day. That's exactly the reason I bought it. I can stick it in the bag, off I go out for the day. If it's just pleasure, I've gone to a castle or something, or visiting something, or just going to see family, I've got the camera with me. If I see anything on the way, I can stop, snap it. Other cameras that are out there, which are a lot cheaper, are restricted. The compacts, the other bridge cameras, I've tried quite a few of them, and either friends have got them, or I've given lessons to people who have got bridge cameras or compacts, and it just shows how restrictive they are. Yes, it's absolutely fine if you're getting into photography and your knowledge is limited, and you just want a camera that you can take really quite good quality photos with. They're absolutely brilliant. But when you get to a point where you want to take a camera out that does pretty much 90% of what your pro gear does, but in one package, this is the camera. It allows me to do stuff. Actually, to be honest, it allows me to do more stuff sometimes than the A7R2 can't do, or any other DSLRs can't do. It's some of the stuff in there that the other cameras don't do. So actually, you're benefiting in some respects. But generally, you want to be able to pick the camera up, and if you can get the shots you would normally get with your high, the pro level cameras with particular lenses on, if you can still get those shots or more, it's a winner. And it's the fact that it's £1,800 or $1,800, depending on where you are. It's a lot of money, but actually when you look at it as a product, it's extremely good value. My dad has just bought one. He's got rid of his DSLR just because it becomes a hassle of carrying stuff around with you, all the lenses, the flash gun, stuff like that. He just wants to be able to pick it up and just take some pictures. It's easy. As an all-in-one convenience, it's absolutely amazing. As you will see from these shots that I'm going to put up, that possibly they're not perfect, but just to prove a point that the quality it produces is outstanding for the money, the size of sensor it's got, and the lens that's somehow 24 to 600. Camera is pretty self-explanatory, really. It's just everyday bridge camera, really. But like I say, it's much more usable than the everyday much cheaper cameras, and it's pushed the limits up even further, which is great. And if you can afford it and you know enough about photography, it will really help you get the shots you really wanted to if you didn't take your big camera with you, with all the lenses and everything. And it's just a great way of actually getting the shots that you probably would miss with the other camera, because 90% of the time I've been walking around, say I've gone out for the day and I've got a 24mm or 24-70 on, and a woodpecker or something lands in the tree 50 feet away, and you're like, oh crap, right, okay, so turn the camera off, lens off, open your bag, put the new lens on, oh, it's flown away. But if you've got the RX10 with you, oh look, there's a woodpecker, 600mm, got it. And so that's the benefit. That is the real benefit for me, that the fact that you get more shots on a consistent manner because you're not pissing around changing lenses or carrying other stuff with you. So that's my sort of chat about it, really. Probably blabbered on a bit too long, but it's just perfect for what I need as a second camera and an everyday camera. So anyway, I hope you like the pictures that I've put in here while I'm chatting away, and there'll be another video soon. The reason I've done this today because the weather is absolutely dull and boring and everything like that, so there's no point in even taking the camera out. But anyway, cheers guys. I'll put some other links and bits and bobs at the end. So if there's any other videos you want to have a look, and please subscribe, click the little bell thing so you get notifications, and please share and ask for other people to follow me as well. That'd be fabulous. I've also got the Instagram page as well, which should be a link somewhere on here as well. So yeah, anyway, chat soon.